campaigning right now isn't like it's kind of it comes off kind of tasteless. I mean, you physically can't, right, because of all of the social distancing stuff, but trying to yada yada yada. But politicians are politicians, and so what I'm noticing with people who are it's maybe not they're doing it intentionally, but it's coming off like they're trying to leverage the crisis for their next political position, or maybe people they haven't said it themselves, and maybe this is the way you want to come off in a situation like this. But how you respond showcases an attraction or a leadership that can be part of another conversation. I think it's probably also partially due to the fact that there is no excitement around a Democratic nominee, and so we have people like Newsom and Cuomo, the governors of California and New York, that are they're being presented as these alternatives to Biden, and they're a part of a national conversation now because of all of this dire situation that we're in. What have you taken, if anything, away from like their leadership emerging and how it's happening on the back of this thing that we're dealing with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think that every crisis, dare I say every day presents an opportunity for leaders to lead. If you're in a leadership position and you have influence and you have the responsibility to be a decider and to, help chart the trajectory of people's lives, it certainly is not lost upon, I think, many of us that in a crisis, you want someone who has judgment, who has compassion, but also someone who's willing to make a big decision and take in the necessary information through all the filters and decide something that has a result that matches the highest possible good. I think that it's obvious that we have a vacuum of leadership at the federal level, and that vacuum of leadership has literally cost us lives. People have needlessly died, and that's sad, because even with the social distancing, we are seeing that it's not in the hundreds of thousands like we thought. But if we were to respond it maybe a month earlier, maybe 2 months earlier, maybe it'd be even half of what is expected. And those are real lives, right? So, I think what we've seen with Governor Newsom and Governor Cuomo, at least from an optics point of view, is just such it's a calming effect for people who at this point are still obviously distrustful, disgusted, and embarrassed by the federal leadership that we have to depend on. Donald Trump, Pence, all these guys. It's obvious. They're in over their heads so much. That it stopped being funny like after the first week. Then it's just terrifying, right? But you still see the blind spots, right, of some of these leaders, whether it's Newsom, whether it's Cuomo. You still see that you're only as good as your experiences and the people you surround yourself with. And so, folks that I know in New York, that are, have lived under a Cuomo, governance, are still highlighting that, he does not have the right politics related to criminal justice reform, or the ways in which, we attend to our most vulnerable among us. I think he's saying the right things as relates to the temperament, and I think he's leading under the best circumstances. New York is New York City in and of itself is its own country, just like LA is, So I give him respect in just the leadership he's providing. But I think if you talk to people and peel down, there's some critiques. I think the same thing with Governor Newsom. It's just been great to see how he's led. I even, reached out to the governor's office and got a chance to talk to their staff when the National Guard was being floated after he passed those orders, and we started to see tanks and armored vehicles being, moved throughout the state. And, we expressed our dismay about that, about the way he rolled that out, and didn't have enough information and guidance, and that it was terrifying, Black folk for sure that I knew. Many of us don't want the National Guard in our communities under any circumstance. If they're here as a humanitarian effort to pass out food, find some other folk to do the food, like give it to the churches. Let's develop mutual aid agreements, between the ways in which National Guard will interact with citizens and folks, particularly in Black, brown, urban neighborhoods. And so that was received well, and so I just appreciate, leaders lead. They sometimes may have some blind spots, but the big test is how do you respond when, people of goodwill are trying to help compensate some of those blind spots. And so I'm impressed with Governor Newsom's leadership. As a native San Franciscan, when I came back from Duke in 2005, that was the first time I heard him speak. It was at a Tavis Smiley State of Black America event. And I was looking at that brother. I said, man, that dude, whatever that it is, he's got it. He gonna be the president one day. And his career went through some winds and ups and downs, but he seems like he has a good grasp of what leadership in a public space looks like. And so I would not criticize leaders when they step up to lead in a crisis. I think that's what we all want. We want leaders leading, and we want them leading with courage, with conviction, with compassion, with clarity, with integrity. And I think we have different expressions of those kinds of qualities coming through in both the governors of New York and California. We should all be grateful for that.